Hi there, I'm Melissa Davis. Welcome to Hello Prime Life, where midlife isn't a crisis, it's your comeback. It's great to have your company for the very first episode of Hello Prime Life. If you've hit your 40s and want to feel fired up instead of faded out, you're in the right place. 6 a.m. last Tuesday, I'm wiping a clear circle in the steam on my bathroom mirror, just big enough to see my own face so I can do my makeup. Mid-stroke with the lip brush, I catch my reflection. Hair done, fully dressed, makeup halfway there. And this thought lands clear as day. What are you doing, Melissa? Getting ready to show up for my day. Except I'm not showing up at all. I've spent what feels like years hiding behind my desk, fine-tuning frameworks, writing content, perfecting every detail of Hello Prime Life, telling myself I needed just one more thing before I was ready. Here I was teaching women to stop hiding while I was literally hiding behind my own logo, using perfection as an invisibility shield. You know what dawned on me in that moment? I wasn't being thorough or discerning. I was just scared of being seen. If I kept tweaking the font and the framework, I didn't have to step into the light and risk being judged. Now, even though I've got my share of reinventions under my belt, when it came time to press go on this thing, I froze. And that was the wake-up call, because hiding doesn't just happen when you're struggling. It happens right when you're on the verge of something special. And your brain decides that tweaking a font style for the 14th time is a matter of national security. If you've ever told yourself you're not ready yet, if you've been sitting on a yearning or an incredible idea for too long, waiting for the perfect moment, if you've convinced yourself that one more course, one more plan, one more sign will make you feel confident enough to begin, this episode is for you. Here's the myth we've been sold, that midlife women need to find themselves. There's an entire industry built around it. Books, journals, courses, retreats. God knows, I've bought a few of them. When I hit my 40s, I kept thinking, if I just searched hard enough, I'd discover who I was supposed to be now. Then I finally realised I wasn't lost. I was just really good at hiding. And if you're listening to this thinking, that's me, you're not lost either. You've just steadily disappeared under the weight of other people's expectations and the incremental habit of making yourself smaller. The woman you're looking for? She's been there all along, just hiding in plain sight. How did we learn to hide? It happens a lot like this. You're 7 years old, full of big ideas and wild imagination. Someone, a well-meaning teacher, a parent, or a cousin with no filter, tells you you're too much, too loud, too full on, just a lot. So you dial it back, just a bit, and you tell yourself it doesn't matter, that this is just how the world works. You're 17 and discovering what you love. But practical voices whisper about stable careers and sensible choices. So you adjust your dreams, just a bit. You call it being realistic. Everyone else calls it growing up. You're 27 and saying yes to everyone, your boss, your partner, your friends, your family. That's what good women do, right? We're always available. We help. We accommodate. So you shrink your boundaries, just a bit, because others have you convinced that being needed means you matter. You're 37 and so busy being everything to everybody else that you can't remember the last time someone asked what you wanted. And honestly, you're not sure you'd know how to answer. So you keep your needs quiet, just a bit. By now, you've convinced yourself you don't really have any. By 47, you've made yourself so small, so quiet, so accommodating that you've practically disappeared. And now You're hiding behind your phone, doom scrolling instead of dealing with what's actually bothering you. Curating the perfect Instagram feed while your real life feels like chaos. Overplanning everything so you never have to actually start. And the real kicker? You're still operating as the domestic air traffic controller for everyone else, colour-coding calendars, coordinating dental appointments, managing life, while your own ambitions are filed under someday. Somewhere between buying a treadmill you'll use as a clothes rack and finally organising the plastic container cupboard. The thing is, you didn't lose yourself in one dramatic moment. You hid yourself in 1,000 tiny ones. Every time you agreed with opinions you didn't share. Every time you downplayed your wins or stayed quiet about your ambitions. Every time you laughed off a dismissive comment instead of calling it out. Every time you prioritised someone else's comfort over your own truth. It wasn't one big crisis. It was a slow fade of self. Let's talk about the cost of staying hidden. Hiding feels safe, but that safety comes with a price tag. I know, I paid it for years. I've rebuilt my life more than once. Lost a 20-year TV career when the network restructured, and started over. Created an award-winning business from scratch. I know how to navigate change. Yet, when it came time to launch Hello Prime Life, I bunkered down behind my desk, incessantly polishing, tweaking and revising. Meanwhile, the women I could have helped, still waiting for permission, still stuck in the same patterns, still hiding. 2 years of inbox messages from women asking, "When are you launching this?" while I fiddled with things that were already fine. 2 years of watching people with half my experience go for it while I perfected my plans into paralysis. The worst part is, I knew exactly what I was doing. I could see the pattern. I could name it as hiding. And I did it anyway. Because knowing better doesn't mean doing better. Not when fear has the wheel. That's when it crystallised for me. Hiding doesn't disappear just because you've done the work. It just gets more sophisticated. When you're younger, hiding looks like people-pleasing and shrinking to fit in. When you're more experienced, hiding looks like endless preparation and attention to detail. Fear in a business suit calling itself due diligence. But it's still hiding, just wearing better clothes. That was me. I'd turned hiding into an art form. I was intimidated by the idea of putting myself out there again, afraid of claiming this space, scared that maybe midlife women didn't need my voice after all. And there it is, the question that keeps so many brilliant women stuck. What do I have to offer the world now? But that's the wrong question. The real question is, are you going to let fear decide for you? You see, waiting for the world's permission is just another way of hiding. The world doesn't get to decide whether you show up or not. You do. Pressing go on Hello Prime Life meant deciding that hiding behind perfectionism cost me more than being imperfectly visible ever could. So what's hiding costing you? The problem isn't your capability. It's that you've learned to hide it so well, even you can't see it anymore. But here's what I want you to know. When you're lost, you need a map. When you're buried, you need excavation. Midlife women, we're not lost. You aren't a missing person. You don't need to be found. You're a buried treasure, covered up layer by layer by a mountain of compromises, shoulds we inherited and never questioned, and the exhaustion of holding it all together while feeling hollow inside. The woman you're looking for isn't waiting to be discovered through more soul-searching, manifesting, or vision boards. She's hidden under all the things you've been carrying that were never yours to carry in the first place. Yet the self-help industry keeps selling you maps when what you need is a shovel. The question I want you to ask yourself is not who am I, but where am I hiding? For me, I was hiding behind I'm not quite ready yet, behind the safety of planning instead of the risk of doing. So where are you hiding? Behind busyness? Behind the good girl work? You know, the excuse we've all used, the I can't possibly focus on myself right now because insert legitimate responsibility here. Are you hiding your opinions to keep the peace? I wasted years nodding along in meetings, swallowing what I really thought because it's not worth the aggravation, when the truth was I just didn't believe my voice mattered enough. Maybe you're hiding behind everything's fine and living someone else's version of your life, and you're done with it. This isn't about blame or an exercise in guilt. Hiding was a choice you made to protect yourself. It was your operating system for a long time, but it's outdated now. Time to reboot. So what happens when you finally stop hiding? It's uncomfortable, I won't lie. When you start showing up authentically after a lifetime of performance, people notice. They ask questions. Some of them won't like it. Some relationships will adjust. Some will fall away. But do you know what else happens? You stop waiting for permission that's never coming and start making decisions that are yours alone. You say no without guilt and yes without resentment. You laugh louder, speak more directly, and give fewer damns about what people think. You realise that selfish is just a word people use when you stop putting yourself last. And most surprising of all, you rediscover parts of yourself you thought were gone. Your curiosity, your spark, your sense of possibility. Let's get something straight. You don't need anyone's permission to stop hiding. Not your partners, not your kids, your bosses, your mothers, and definitely not society's. You already have it. You've always had it. From the only person who can give you permission to be seen. You. You're not abandoning anyone by showing up for yourself. You're not being selfish or difficult or making it all about you. You're just existing at full volume instead of half muted. When you give yourself permission first, it's liberating. Everything else gets easier. You're allowed to want what you want, to outgrow roles, relationships, and beliefs that no longer fit. You're allowed to stop performing and start living. And you're allowed to start before you feel ready. What you need to remember is you can't think your way into clarity. You have to act your way into it. Don't wait for the big epiphany or the perfect 10-step plan. Just make one small, slightly uncomfortable move. Momentum isn't something you have. It's something you build by showing up when you'd rather stay hidden. Because once you're in motion, the path starts to reveal itself. So what will this podcast do for you? If you're tired of being made to feel midlife means disappearing, buckle up. This podcast isn't about surface level inspiration or vague self-care. We're here to reignite your spark, rebuild your confidence, and rock your prime life. Not in a new year, new you cliche way, but in a reclaim the woman you're meant to be way. Every week we're going to get real about what the messy middle actually looks like. We'll dig into the mental blocks, the fears and frustrations, the stuff that keeps you stuck, and give you practical steps and more than a few mojo makers to help you create who you become next. Whether we're talking to guests or it's just you and me, the goal is the same: to stop the slow fade and start designing a life you're excited to wake up to. You don't need to find yourself. You need to stop hiding. And you don't have to know what's next. Start by asking, where am I hiding? What's one small way I can choose visibility over safety? Maybe it's telling your partner you need help instead of martyring your way through. Maybe it's telling someone, that doesn't work for me, without apologising a dozen times. Or it could be pressing go on the thing you've been perfecting for months or maybe years, like someone else I know. I'm not asking you to change your whole life today. I'm just asking you to make one prime power move. Write down one way you're currently hiding. Here are some ideas to get you started. I'm hiding by... The last time I made myself smaller was when I say yes to fill in the blank when I really want to say no. Then ask yourself, what's the smallest step I could take this week to choose visibility instead? Not what would fix everything, just something small and manageable. Do that and see what happens. If you want to identify where you're hiding and what to do about it, grab my free guide, 5 Ways You're Hiding Without Even Realising It. It'll help you spot the subtle patterns and give you practical steps to choose visibility instead. Links in the show notes. Next time on the invisibility tax, how to stop disappearing in your own life, we're moving from where you're hiding to what you've left behind. We're doing an audit of the gut instincts, boundaries and hell yeses you've accidentally traded away, and I'll show you how to start reclaiming them. Until then, remember, your prime life is calling. Time to answer. Before you go, if this one resonated, hit follow so you don't miss what's next. And if you've got a spare few seconds, a quick review genuinely helps other women find the show. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.